Thanks, Jennifer. It's nice to see you all again so soon. I am so excited about shadowing that I'm going to preview some functionality for you. This is a new way that you'll be able to migrate from Redpanda clusters to other Redpanda clusters, and in the future, even more. So today, it's going to be just migrating from Redpanda self-hosted to Redpanda BYOC. As the saying goes, don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Unfortunately, a lot of folks have put their eggs in one cloud region, which has led to some spectacular outages. The latest AWS outage even led to some smart beds trying to dry roast their users. The beds relied on a connection to their service located in US East 1 to regulate temperature. And when it became unavailable, the beds turned into heated bricks. For a service that can afford no downtime, a multi-region, multi-cloud strategy is essential. With every innovation, there come certain drawbacks and new modes of failure are identified. The cloud is no different. Although a single cloud provider is likely inadequate to guarantee uninterrupted service, managing multiple clouds is easier said than done. Having to cross-train different cloud environments is time-consuming since each cloud has its own idiosyncrasies. Going the pure SaaS route isn't great either, since you lose key functionality and control, and the price is likely higher, and your cloud credits are unlikely to be passed through. Fortunately, we have just the solution for you. Our Bring Your Own Cloud, BYOC, deployment model is proven to be very popular. Customers retain a high level of control, including the ability to utilize valuable credits. And Redpanda manages Redpanda, so you don't need to worry about it behaving differently depending on the provider. This frees up your developers to focus on your application rather than caring for and feeding the stream of data service that it relies upon. The only hurdle left to moving your Redpanda deployment from self-hosted to BYOC. Fortunately, we have multiple solutions to easily migrate your data. Since this is Streamfest, we're going to preview some technical capabilities around migration with our newest feature, shadowing. I demonstrated shadowing in the previous session for disaster recovery, but we are equally excited by shadowing for migration. You don't need ongoing asynchronous replication to migrate, but it does make it smoother. With shadowing, you can move your consumers to a new cluster without having to move your producers, so your migration can happen at a speed you are comfortable with. I am so glad you asked. Let me show you a demo. I have here a console to utilize RPK, since I already demonstrated shadowing via the console. Using RPK, you can easily issue shadowing commands via the command line in order to interact with your cluster. On the right-hand side of the screen, I have two different clusters. One is a self-managed cluster in AWS, and the other is a blank cluster that's running in GCP. You can see that there is no data currently in the shadow cluster, and the source cluster currently has a single topic. Now, I'm going to be using some configuration files that I've already written up, and so let me display them for you. The configuration file for shadowing is very simple. RPK even can generate a file for you. You have your Bootstrap servers, which are the servers associated with your source cluster, the name of the shadow link, your configuration options for authenticating to the source cluster, and the intervals in which it will sync data. We also have the filter of the topics that are going to be copied. We're just copying everything right now using the star command, which is a lateral include. You can also do exclude patterns and other things like I demonstrated in the previous session. So let me issue an RPK command to see if there's any shadow links that currently exist in the shadow cluster. So it's issuing the command in the Kubernetes cluster, and there is currently no shadow links available there. So I'm going to have it create a shadow link using the config file that I just displayed. I'm using the flag no confirm so that there's no interactive mode that would work strangely in a Kubernetes environment. Oh, I used the one where I had blanked out the passwords and the username in order to display on the screen rather than the one with the accurate authentication credentials. And now the shadow link has been created. I'm going to refresh the shadow cluster here so that we should be able to see the topic has been created, replicated from the source cluster. We also have multiple monitoring and status commands available via RPK so that you can test the status of your shadow link. Let me demonstrate just a couple of those. Shadow describe tells us the nature of the link, the metadata configurations, and the bootstrap servers. And then shadow status will give us the state of the shadow as well as additional information. Oh. Let me make sure that I fully spell out the shell command. So we see the name of the shadow link, the state, what topics are being replicated, and a comparison of the latest stable offset and the high watermark from the source, as well as the destination, from which you can infer the lag of the shadow link. Since we're showing replication as it exists, I'm going to switch over and create a new topic in the source cluster, and we'll see if that gets also replicated in the shadow cluster since we had it copying everything. I'll need to switch my RPK profile to the correct one for my self-managed cluster. Oh, it's Streamfest self-managed. And now I'll just do RPK topic, create bar. All right, that topic should be created. Let's validate that it's present in our source cluster. There, I see it. Now let's look in the shadow cluster. Refresh there. Maybe I need to refresh this more quickly. There we go. Their bar is replicated. Now you have data replicated on your shadow cluster. You probably need to fail it over. So I'm going to switch back to the shadow cluster, and then I'm going to issue the failover commands in order to be able to write to it. Before I do that, let me just demonstrate that you're unable to write to the shadow topics when they are in shadowing mode. And now let's switch profiles. All right, set the current profile correctly. You can specify specific topics to failover. I'm just going to have it fail over all. And I really don't want to add that shell extension to this command. Oh. There we are. Let's check the status of that to see the difference between it being active and in the failover state. See that the state is failed over. So now that it's failed over and we want to promote the shadow cluster to full production and move all the producers over, let's go ahead and just delete that shadow link. Okay, now it is deleted. I want to see if I'm able to write to topics like I would expect. There we go. You no longer get the policy violation since it has been failed over and you're allowed to write to it. We are currently providing shadowing functionality in a beta. We have our documentation available associated with our 25.3 release. You can find it under Manage, Disaster Recovery, and Shadowing. As I mentioned, our primary focus with this release is disaster recovery, but shadowing will be useful for much more than that. And all of the commands I used for RPK will be visible here. If you're interested in learning more, please reach out and we'll be happy to chat it over with you. Thanks so much for joining me for this additional shadowing demo. We're so excited to share this feature with you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of Streamfest.